Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Coding and Philosophy episode. I'm here with Juho. I'm here with Ri.
You should have said I'm here with Yuho and I'm here with T.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to say. But it isn't. My mouth wasn't working the way my brain wanted it to work. Yeah, but for this episode, we're back in our regular place, and we were thinking about discussing rules.
Rules.
Yeah, because what we did last episode, did not follow the rules that we have set for ourselves in a way.
We didn't even have a rules. It's just that we practice something so much that it becomes something customs that we subconsciously take that as something expected. But it's not like written rules. It's a custom. It's a habit.
Yeah, true. It was more of a habit to just record. Yeah, and you always get... But they're the same thing essentially, or are they? I would say oftentimes what becomes a habit turns into a rule as well.
I wouldn't say so, because in the context of development, different developers may form different habits, and that's even more specific, naming conventions, naming variables. But in the development world, when they collaborate together, there must be common programming and development rules in order to, I would say, steer everyone's habits towards the same naming conventions and name style.
Yeah, well, and I was telling you before we turned the mics on is, so I have this software project where I'm thinking about having new developers join in, and I'm trying to create rules for them, for like coding conventions, which we will all follow. But then as I was talking to another developer about this, and he said, you shouldn't really... You shouldn't try to figure out the rules now before you are even producing the code. What you should do is just basically start developing without the rules, and then if you see certain patterns or certain mistakes being repeated over and over, then you go, okay, we need to create a rule for this not to happen.
I understand. He does make his point, because now you actually made the rules you come up with actually has validity, because it's addressing the actual things that are already happening. And if you try to come up with the rule, it's more like you are overthinking in a sense.
Yeah.
Trying to come up with scenario that what happened if this, therefore I will prevent that with this, which may generate infinite amount of possibilities.
Exactly. You're preparing for something which doesn't... You're wasting energy in a way, because you're creating rules for things that don't even matter. Like, that's how I feel. There's a really common rule of using double quotations, or like enforcing that everyone only uses single or double quotations. I'm like, what's the point of that? Who cares? It doesn't really... Does it make it more readable? There's a lot of, let's say, coding conventions where
okay.
I don't understand what is the value that they bring.
Yeah, be the rebel. Use backtick. Be the rebel. Use backtick.
Yeah, or tabs and spaces. They don't, like, who cares?
Okay, tab and space, it's such a sensitive topic that it has caused us tribal war.
Yeah, but they're silly wars. Wars. There's no victor. There's no reason for the war. So, but yeah, I think the rules. Yeah, I think it would make sense what my friend said, that you make the rules based on, because every development team, every team that produces code, it's different, and you need to have a unique set of rules for each one. So yeah, my original plan was to work on these rules beforehand, but now I'm thinking just screw it. We don't need the rules.
Yeah, the rule followed the practice.
Yeah.
Allow the practice to unfold. Then we formulate any necessary rules in order for everyone to play better in the game. That's my takeaway from listening to your story.
Yeah, and also I think if if I started to create a lot of rules now, it's really because each rule just constricts creativity, which is, it's good in some sense. You don't want too much creativity. You want to have let's say, creativity should be constricted or should have constraints. But the more constraints you add, the less, let's say, freeing it is, or the less joyful the act of producing code becomes, because unless you have people in the team who go, why are we, or who question the rules that have been set up, which is good.
And then in that case, I imagine we have to bring clarity first and foremost bring clarity and rationale about why we have this rule in the first place. If no such rationale can be given, then it's reasonable to then accept the questions and deduce that this is unnecessary rule.
Yeah, but also when you are producing this clarity about a rule, first of all, you're also thinking about why you are implementing this rule. Therefore, you are figuring out as you're speaking about it, is this actually needed? Is this a good rule or not? So yeah, all that, I mean, my philosophy is all rules should be questioned. I guess people in my...
Even that rules of yours, right?
That's true.
Should we question the rule that all rules should be questioned?
So we had in our school or in our cooperative, we had a discussion about a slogan for each of our teammates. It's just something that they would say. Right. And I think mine was, what are the rules and why should we follow them? That made me laugh. That made me laugh a lot. So I guess I like to question rules. But I also I've realized it's natural to me to think about, question the rules, but it might not be that natural for, other people. So I think that's a thing of, it's a property of mine which I've realized is uncommon.
Why does JavaScript have comma at the end of each command? Why? It's useless. It's useless, but
well,
we agree to use that for readability. Okay, maybe the readability, it's the proposed value that this rule will offer for any collaborators. Therefore, we adopt that. Okay, good. Because I just question a rule and then I myself just produce an answer by questioning the rule.
Yeah, and it's, if we didn't have the ECMAScript people who create the rules for JavaScript, if we didn't have, I don't know, the rule of this group of thinkers who come up with these rules, then, well, JavaScript developers couldn't work together because we would all just do our own things and there wouldn't be cohesion. So yeah, rules are needed. But you also need in order for things to evolve in any direction, for better or worse, you need to question the way things are done already. So yeah, rules create order, but if you just have order, then it's a dystopian.
It's a dystopian. You run risk of, well, not only stagnation, you're just completely dead because it's a static object.
I mean, you get the things are efficient,
right?
Because everything has been concised into this small box. But I don't know. I rules and me, we are arch enemies in a way.
No. But talking about constricting things, shout out to TypeScript for confining JavaScript variable to a strongly typed language.
Yeah, but I still don't, because what TypeScript has done is, look, when people, it addresses some problems which JavaScript has. Or it doesn't address problems which JavaScript has. It addresses common mistakes that JavaScript developers do. So I did this course about, or I was learning about JavaScript types, and it explained how, or made a good point is...
And in that case, when too many people has a false mental model of this tool, then should it be the tool that can be improved, or should all of those developers should be improved?
Well, I think I always like to look inward. So how can I really, you're a student of Stoicism as well. You don't like to, you accept the world as it is and you try to live in it or try to do the best in it. So if you're a JavaScript developer who's complaining or saying that, oh, well, JavaScript, because there's no type safety or there's no, you don't have to declare the types, then therefore it's bad, or it's the fault of the tool, not the fault of the developer. I don't know if there's a right answer for that. I see it that it's the fault of the developer always. It's not the tool.
Yes. Well, the tool has this quirky behavior that it demands more in-depth understanding from the wielder of the tool. But then with the introduction of TypeScript, which also brings more rules, restrict possibilities, but it has effectively reduced the complexity by the tool.
But that's what you just said there. It's funny to think that I think having TypeScript in a project adds complexity.
It adds complexity for sure.
But
its proposed value for additional complexity, it's a strongly typing and less bug, therefore less time down the line for debugging. And developers seem to accept the value proposition and trade-off.
Yeah. And I think, thinking about JavaScript, if I think about the most common errors I get, they're usually related to types. You're trying to do something to a type that it's not allowed.
It's not allowed. You call an array method on a string type, for example.
So if you use TypeScript, that no longer happens. So I guess, but I think there is a way to write JavaScript where you are really, because the problem is when you're writing regular JavaScript, you're being really implicit with the types. You're not being explicit. So there is a way to writing JavaScript code where you are really explicit about when you name a variable, that what type it is, and make it really crystal clear. So, I say it's the fault of the developers. It's JavaScript. You're perfect the way you are. Don't listen to anyone else.
Oh, I thought your philosophy is to question the rule, and perhaps JavaScript is a bunch of rules. Should we question it? Should we question all layers of abstraction that JavaScript lays upon? Does it make sense? Does this make sense? Does programming make sense?
Well, what you said,
Does living make sense?
What you said is that I'm gonna be more specific. What I said when I said that I like to question the rules. I just have an anti-establishment. Whenever people feel about things, I always try to think the exact opposite.
Right.
It's
play the devil's advocate.
Yeah. So when I see people following rules, my first instinct is to go against them. Or if I see people slagging JavaScript for it being not having strict. You don't have to declare types, and they're complaining about that. I say like, no, there's nothing wrong with JavaScript. It's just you or that. So I guess I'm an anti-establishment kind of a person, just naturally. I can't help it.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. So, yeah, I'll make that. It's not that I question the rules. I question. I'm anti-establishment, and that just causes me to question rules more often. Yeah. But with that, I guess we can say goodbye to you guys and see you on the next Coding and Philosophy episode. Remember, keep on coding.
And remember, keep on breaking the philosophical rules.
That's true. Bye.
Good.